You are listening to The Radar, a weather-related podcast hosted by the Valley's #1 meteorologists.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Radar Podcast. This is one of the podcasts here at 21 News, and this one, of course, focuses mostly on the weather, but we don't just stick to weather, especially at this time of the year when the weather can be kind of, uninteresting, to be honest. But so we sometimes talk about other sciencey topics, and we're going to look a little beyond the atmosphere today and talk about what's going on up above our heads, beyond the atmosphere into outer space. We're talking astronomy, of course, and our guest this month on the Radar, no stranger to 21 News, WFMJ, and our various newscasts. It, of course, is Curt Spivey, Planetarium Engineer up at Ward Beecher, up at YSU. Welcome.
Hi, Eric.
Thanks for joining us today. And, you know, I mentioned that sometimes the weather at this time of the year, late summer, early fall, it can be, frankly, just kind of a little bit boring.
Right.
But there's always interesting things to talk about in the atmosphere and especially beyond the atmosphere.
Yep.
You know, we've been blessed, I would say, over the last couple of years to have all sorts of really cool, interesting things going on in the heavens above. So we want to talk about what we have to look forward to for the rest of this year, what's coming in 2026, and also, talking a little bit about the new school year and what's happening up at Ward Beecher and what students and teachers can look forward to if they want to plan a visit to YSU this school year. So first things first, let's talk a little bit of background for those who maybe are not all that familiar with you and kind of your journey here to come to YSU in the Youngstown area. Where'd you go to college? What did you major in? And what kind of led you to Youngstown?
Well, I've been here a long time, but yes, I have been all over the place. I am originally from Columbus, and I was the last of 3 children, so my parents couldn't afford to put me through college, but they could afford to let me stay at home while I went to college. So Ohio State was my choice. And when I graduated from high school, way back in 1985, as I creak here a little bit, I thought when I came out of high school, I wanted to do what you do. I thought I was going to be a weather person. And at that time, in 1985, Ohio State did not have an undergraduate meteorology program. They only had a graduate level.
I think it was the next year, in 86, I believe, they debuted it.
Well, by that time, I was a physics major. And early physics classes at Ohio State are designed to teach engineering students that they shouldn't be engineering students. So finding the dipole of a magnetic spheroid was not my cup of tea. So I took a general astronomy class and got bit by the bug, switched to astronomy major. And as it turned out, I did end up taking a general climatology and general forecasting class at Ohio State, but I got my degree in astronomy. The only thing there is if you get a degree in astronomy as an undergrad, you either A, stay in college the rest of your life, B, you sell insurance, or C, you go into informal education, which is what I did. And for those folks who are familiar with Columbus, we, of course, have one of the biggest informal science centers in the country down there, COSI. I worked at the old COSI. What I did was I was with their outreach program, which meant I took a week driving a truck around the state, taking an outreach program, and then my partner would take the next week and I'd be in the building. While I was working in the building, I worked every floor of COSI except the floor that had the planetarium on it.
Ironic.
So, yes. So I sent out some cold resumes and it found fertile ground in Charleston, West Virginia. My first planetarium I moved to in 1997. And it was just a little tiny planetarium that had been installed in 1962. It was a starball, 4 slide projectors, and my voice. And I developed my technique because when you have 60 people in the room, and that's being really friendly to get 60 in this little planetarium, you could feel the audience and you got a feel for how things went. While I was in West Virginia, we moved from my 24-foot dome that could seat 60 to a 60-foot dome that could seat 175 that was also an IMAX theater. So I played both ends of the spectrum, but I didn't get along with the director at the time there. So I moved to Hickory, North Carolina, where I opened a brand new planetarium in 2007. I was there for a couple of years, and then my wife and I, it was right after my predecessor, the late great Rick Perko, passed away. It took him about a year after he passed to get the job description worked around, but I had started looking by that point, and it was a perfect match. And I've been here ever since 2009.
And we're happy that you're here. And, just mentioning COSI brings back warm memories for me. And a lot of kids grew up, and that was one of the highlights of the school year, is a field trip to COSI.
Or a camp-in.
Exactly. And, you're a few years older than me, so it's quite possible that during one of my class trips to COSI in whatever grade, that you happen to be working there at the time. It's
very
possible.
could possibly, yes.
So, yeah, COSI was really, that, especially a kid like me who was kind of scientifically inclined anyway. That was one of the really great field trips. And, I also went to Ohio State. And
Very good.
what you and I have in common is we majored in something that not a lot of people major in.
Nope.
There's not a lot of us out there.
When I was an undergrad, there were 29 undergrad astronomy majors out of that entire school of 50,000 students.
I think the numbers were probably pretty similar in meteorology. I graduated in 2001.
Okay.
And the numbers, that sounds about right as far as how many graduated with a degree in atmospheric science, we called it.
Yes.
Back then. So talk about what the curriculum is like. You mentioned physics.
Yes.
What else do you take in college on your way to becoming a graduate with a degree in astronomy?
It was mostly physics and astronomy. Out of those 29 students at my level, there were only about 6 of us. So I got to know those 6 guys really well. But we traveled around with a pack of about 24 physics majors who were all taking the same physics classes at the same time. So after you get out of that first series of physics, then they actually try to teach you physics when you get up to the 200 level. So I did most of my semesters were a physics class, a math class, a general elective, and then I was in the Glee Club, so that took a lot of time too. So, and I was also on the average white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male plan, which meant I was paying my way through. So I then had to go work in the grocery store in the evening, so I couldn't carry the full load. So I was there for a long time. I didn't graduate till 92. But yes, it was a lot of that. There was some benefits to being in astronomy because being applied physics, I didn't have to take the general thermodynamics class. I could take stellar interiors instead, things like that. But a lot of things like that happened. I do remember very clearly, though, when the Hubble Space Telescope launched. I was taking my cosmology class. No, I don't do makeup. That's cosmetology.
It's a little bit different.
Yes, cosmology is the study of as far as you can look and the overall picture of the universe. And it's one facet of astronomy that has almost completely turned on its head since I graduated.
How so?
Thanks to the Hubble Space Telescope. We have a number for the expansion of the universe. It's called the Hubble constant. When I was in school, it's somewhere between 5 and 15. We don't know. Now they've nailed it down to almost 12.4, I think is the Hubble constant. So our measurements have gotten a lot better. We knew about dark matter, but hadn't directly observed it. We have now. We knew nothing of dark energy, which is another thing that's one of those, when I look at this stuff, that's my boss's pay grade. Let Dr. Durrell talk about that stuff. That's out of my ballpark. But that's actually one of the things I really like about astronomy is we're never going to know everything. There's always something new coming out. Like a couple of years ago, our first imaging of a black hole. Now the Vera Rubin Observatory is coming online, and already in its first couple of months, it's making fantastic discoveries and refining things.
And meteorology, I view it as kind of the same thing. We're never going to figure it out. Just when we get a little bit cocky about some certain things, the atmosphere has a way of humbling us a little bit. That is for sure. And one of the things I love most about my career in meteorology and weather forecasting is that I could live to be 500 years old and still be learning things. The atmosphere is going to continue to reveal its secrets to us, pretty slowly. So it's similar in that vein.
And also the technology.
Yes.
The technology is so much better, I'm sure, from when you first graduated to now. Well, when I took my general forecasting class, we got a nice big box of crayons so we could mark our cold fronts and warm fronts on the maps. So that's changed. The poor meteorology students today will never know the thrill of going to the bookstore and buying a big box of crayons.
You got that right. You got that right. So, you've been here at YSU for, as you mentioned, several years now. It's been it's been a little bit of time. What's your day-to-day like? Does it depend on the time of the year?
It does.
I imagine the school year is a little bit busier.
Yes. My main job as planetarium engineer is to make sure everything in the room works the way it should. And then when our two professors come in, they have everything they need to do their classes. That's my overarching thing. This summer, we just got done having our Kronos star projector serviced for the year. So it got all tuned up and everything. And I had to be there to supervise the tech who came in from Kentucky to do that for us. We did the same thing with the video system. We got a video system upgrade. Just yesterday, I was installing a brand new CD player. Yes, they still make they still make CD players because I still have a ton of them for the background music when I do the Star Talks. And the new one actually has an MP3 through it, so I can pump my phone through the speakers if I want to.
Fancy.
Yes, but that's the sort of thing. The main thing day to day is making sure that everything is prepared. I believe in the 6 Ps, which is proper planning prevents P, poor performance. So that's what the main goal of my job is for that when I'm not doing the public shows.
All right. And, speaking of the public shows, the school year starting up, it's getting to be, of course, your busier time of the year. So what's going on at the planetarium as fall gets underway, the school year gets underway, and if teachers and school administrators want to plan a trip to the planetarium, what's that process like? What are the logistics?
Well, first off, I am very happy to say we now have our new planetarium coordinator on board. Our last one got cut to halftime during the pandemic, and then she went on to another full-time job. So we've been about 3 years without a full-time planetarium coordinator. So I finally have a running mate. Of course, we would have hired somebody sooner, but the fire kind of took care of things with that too. Just yesterday, I put our public show brochure to bed. We have a creative services team on campus, and they made up our brochure, and we just posted it to Facebook this morning, and we've already had 8,000, as of this time, which is about 7 hours after I posted, we've had about 8,000 people see the post on Facebook.
Excellent.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So our season starts up in September. Our shows are Friday and Saturday at 8 o'clock. Those are general audience shows. And then Saturday afternoons at 2 are designed for our younger visitors. We try to change our shows about every month. So if you come back frequently, you can see something different. And we are always free and open to the public. Now, until I had Peter Manzella, Dr. Peter Manzella, I should say, who came to us from the University of Maine. He's just getting settled in. But before that, I was doing all the public shows. So I didn't have time to do school groups too. But now that he's here, we are going to begin offering field trips once again for classes, and we also have senior groups that come, special needs groups that come, all sorts of things. The planetarium, though, is one of the busiest rooms on campus. In addition to the public shows and the school tours, we also have 4 sections of our introductory astronomy class called Descriptive Astronomy that's in there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So mostly our tours are going to be on Tuesday and Thursday. But between that, we have 6 straight days of things going on in that room. We have 140 seats. We will put probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 people through 140 seats from September to May. So.
Just amazing. And this area is so lucky to have a facility like this. It's a world-class facility, really, and to have it here at YSU is fantastic.
Yes, the fire was really a silver lining. My predecessor was an electrical engineer, and he was a great guy and could do wizardry, but he didn't trust anything he didn't do himself. But the electrical code was not one of his strong points. So we're very happy that things have really turned into a 21st century facility when we got back up and running, and we are going to be going for a number of years. It's just fantastic. We can bring it. When the planetarium first opened in 1967, Ward Beecher, who is a direct descendant of Harriet Beecher Stowe, by the way, wanted it to be a resource for the Mahoning Valley. So We have always been and will always be free and open to the public. Now, that doesn't mean we don't like to take donations. Sure. We do have a donation box in the front, but we are always free and open to the public. So we are a cheap date. Come downtown, go to a great restaurant, and then you can come up to the planetarium for a show afterwards on Friday or Saturday night. It's a great time.
It really is. And you know, I haven't been up there enough. I need to make more trips up there because it's such a fantastic, and especially since the fire. And
yes, you actually haven't seen it since the fire. It's quite different.
I have not. So yeah,
yes.
I'm looking forward to making a trip at some point here soon. So, you know, astronomy. I majored in meteorology. I'm a meteorologist, but sure. I have a keen interest in what's going on in outer space.
Yes, I appreciate your ISS updates, by the way.
Yes, people love knowing when the space station's going to fly overhead. So I'm sure that whenever we have a good flyby, it's nice and high and bright, and the clouds aren't in the way, that I post about it because people love that kind of stuff. And you know, while the weather over the last couple of years, we've had our highs and lows, we've had our eventful times. Mm-hmm. I would say what's happened astronomy-wise has been arguably the most interesting thing about, you know, what's going on in our skies over the last couple of years, especially in 2024. We had the eclipse.
Yes.
We had the Northern Lights, which were an amazing surprise.
Yes.
You know, we didn't see that coming more than a couple of days ahead of time. It's been quieter this year. We haven't had quite as many really cool things this year, but just like when it comes to weather, looking up, you're always going to find interesting things. So what do we have to look forward to as we transition out of the summer and into the fall in terms of what's going on in our night skies?
Well, unfortunately, it's mostly stuff for our early morning risers or our insomniacs. Mm-hmm. Most of the good stuff right now is happening in the early morning sky as we speak at the moment. As far as the northern lights go, we did just reach solar max earlier this year. And what that is areas when there's a lot more sunspots. When you get a lot more sunspots, the sun's more volatile. Usually we can see what we call CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, come off the sun about 3 or 4 days ahead of when you'd get the northern lights. So there are a lot of great resources you can get out there that will give you alerts when you have a chance of seeing them in your area. Mm-hmm. And even though we are past solar max, there was one that came off just as the time of this recording was just about 4 days ago, and it only grazed here, so we didn't get anything quite this far south. Mm-hmm. But there's still, even though we're past solar max, for the next 2-3 years, we still got a good chance of getting some coronal events that can trigger those. So you can always keep your eye open for those. But like most of the objects, you do need to be at a dark location. That's one disadvantage we do have here in Northeast Ohio.
The light portion.
Cleveland, Akron, Youngstown, Pittsburgh, constant light buildup. Yeah. So it's difficult. There are places you can go. Northern Trumbull County is pretty good. Center of Columbiana County is pretty good. Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania, all pretty good spots to go to get dark skies. There aren't that many interesting things going on. We did have the eclipse last year. I am happy to say we are having a partial solar eclipse happening at the end of September. Unfortunately, you'll have to be in New Zealand or Antarctica to see that one.
Book your trip now.
Yes, exactly. The next total solar eclipse is going to be in August of 2026. That one won't cover North America either. It's going to go up over the Arctic Ocean, but it is going to swing down just west of England and down over Spain.
Oh, okay.
And I do know there are some cruise ships that are, and this is something they do. They have eclipse watches. You book it. They sail under the path of totality and then sail under there for a while so you can stay in totality and watch the thing. Most of the ones I've heard about are already booked, mostly by people who saw the one last year and went, oh, wow, I got to go see another one of those. So
and I know a lot of commercial airlines also booked last year during the eclipse specific flight paths to be in the path of totality.
And that'll probably happen with this one in August as well. A little bit difficult since it is up toward the North Pole. We do have, as always, whenever you have a solar eclipse, either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after, you will have a lunar eclipse. And we are going to have a partial lunar eclipse then 2 weeks after that on August 28th next year. I was unable to check a map that far ahead. I think we will get brushed with that here in Northeast Ohio. There is another lunar eclipse in March as well that's paired up with what we call a penumbral eclipse. The moon will just barely graze the sun and nobody will really notice that in late February. So that'll be going on. Later this year, the full moon of October is the 6th. That is the closest full moon to the equinox, so that makes that the harvest moon, and it just so happens to be a super moon. So we have a super harvest moon this year. That's pretty good. And those of you who are disappointed because we had the moon interfering with the Perseid meteor shower this month, my favorite meteor shower is in December. That is the Geminid shower. It actually has more meteors per hour than the Perseids. You can see it earlier in the evening because the sun sets so early. The only thing is you got to bundle up for that one.
It's too bad because a lot of people consider that one to be the best one of the year.
Exactly.
But it's in December when it's not as nice to be outside as in the summertime.
But we astronomers, we prefer that time of the year because this time of the year, when it's humid, that means you've got moisture in the air. There's more between you and the stars, and it's harder to see. That haze makes it hard to see. And we have to deal with dew, which is always fun too.
Yes.
When you're in the wintertime, I'm telling a meteorologist this, and he knows this very well, the cold air cannot hold as much moisture. There's less between you and the stars, and they will appear brighter, and it's easier to image things with a telescope or a pair of binoculars.
All right, so say, someone's maybe 8 years old or even in high school at this point, and they're thinking, you know what, I'm kind of into astronomy, I'm kind of into outer space, and they are thinking about maybe that's what I want to do for my career. What, kind of advice would you give someone ranging from, they're still pretty early in the process, maybe they're in 5th grade or something, to maybe someone who's heading into their senior year and seriously considering this as a career path? What would you tell that person?
Well, number one, keep your math up. And physics and math are keys to it. We still follow Sir Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein all over the place. I regret to say that is one of my skills that has atrophied over the last 30 years since I graduated from college. I couldn't do an integral now to save my life.
Join the club there.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I can't do long division anymore, so I got to have a calculator these days. But I see my students that assist us in the planetarium and watch them do their math, and I'm like, I used to be able to do that. But the thing about all sciences is we don't take things on faith. We have methods, and you learn why we see this the way it is. Folks, that's one thing I really like about working at YSU, though. I'm with two working astronomers. Dr. Durrell and Dr. Feldmeyer actually have time on the Hubble Space Telescope. They get the data back and they do analysis on the images. They use it daily. So you can, the thing about learning physics and math and astronomy is it helps you, oh, I see this, I know this, but what's this I'm seeing over here? And you can use that curiosity to move yourself on in. The key, and this is true with my public shows too. When I do a public show, if I get somebody to go outside and look up at the nighttime sky, I think I've done my job. The fascination with the nighttime sky is the key to everything. I was not a straight A student in college. I was a pretty average student, but I have the enthusiasm, and my one skill that I did develop was I had a hard time taking these esoteric concepts and getting them to work in my brain. So I moved them around to something I could understand, and I'm very good at translating that into something other people can understand. That's like my one superpower as a planetarium person. So.
And I tell high school students who maybe are interested in weather, and maybe even seriously considering a degree in meteorology, the communication aspect is so important. A weather forecast, you can get the forecast right, but if people don't understand it, then it's kind of a worthless forecast. So you got to be a good communicator in addition to being, up on your math and your physics and things like that.
Yes, I actually have COSI to thank for that, doing all the presentations for COSI.
I'm sure.
Got my communication skills up to where they are now.
Use those muscles a lot, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And for anyone at any age, whether it be in high school or even adults who are kind of maybe casually interested in astronomy and maybe they have an amateur telescope at home or something like that, are there other, kind of resources, whether it be on computers or on mobile devices and things like that, that you can really easily kind of download and check out to kind of brush up on a lot of this stuff?
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of them out there. Actually, if you'll pardon me, I'm going to pull out my phone so I get the name right on it. One program I use frequently is called Skyview free. I have an Android, so I use Skyview free. They also have a version for Mac too, but it's neat because it uses your camera and you hold it up to the sky and it shows you the outlines of the constellations over top. It'll show you satellites that are going over top and planets and stuff like that. It's a great starting tool for that. There are a bunch though out there. Some of them are better than others. When you're looking at them, there's another one I have on my computer at home. Well, at home and at work, I use it all the time. It's a free program called Stellarium.
Yes, I use that one. I love
yes,
that one.
it's great. A lot of times when you see my stuff on the new news, if there's something going on in the nighttime sky, I do a screen grab from Stellarium and put it up there. The program is designed so if you have a really, really fancy telescope, you can hook your computer into the telescope and Stellarium can drive it.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Wow, very cool. Yeah, I've been using Stellarium for years, and I've shown it on the air as well.
Yes.
When I am highlighting a conjunction or something cool going on. So that's definitely one you want to check out. Well, Curt, this is all very interesting, and you and I majored in different things, but we have very similar experiences in terms of going to Ohio State and having to take a lot of these math and physics classes that now just seem like kind of a nightmare. But we got through it. We got through it. And then, we both are scientists who communicate for a living and have to take scientific concepts and kind of communicate to the masses in a way that they dig and kind of, can understand. And, I like to think that people like you and I who are working scientists, we can have an impact on younger people. I do a lot of school visits, and I like to, or at least I hope, that some of my school visits inspire some kids to, perhaps pursue a degree in something that, most people don't even think you can get a degree in, whether it be meteorology or astronomy. So
absolutely.
Very cool stuff. Thank you again for joining us here on the Radar this month, Curt. We really appreciate it. And be sure and check out the great stuff up at YSU at the Planetarium. It is, again, just a fantastic facility and only has it gotten better.
wbplanetarium.org. Our schedule's up there, links to get to the tours. You can do all that stuff and you can find us on Facebook.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks again, Curt, and thank you as always for watching and for listening, of course, here to the Radar podcast. Don't forget you can get the latest version of this podcast by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. These podcasts, whether they be the Radar, the OutQ, the Vibe, all our 21 News podcasts, they drop each Thursday morning wherever you get your podcasts. But for now, we'll sign off here on the Radar. Have a great rest of your day.